story goes that Prince William and Catherine want to move into Windsor to be closer to our gracious monarch, Her Majesty the Queen. But is that the only reason both of them now want to move so close into the royal borough? Or is there more to it? Let me explain. Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the very heart of London. As ever, lovely to see you one and all. Thank you for joining me today. And yes, still boiling, still humid. Someone asked me, by the way, what's it like over there right now with the cost of living crisis? Probably the same as everywhere else. I don't know if you find this. You go into the shops, things have gone up now by, a few pence. It's like 20 pence, 40 pence, that sort of stuff. It's very difficult for everybody because seemingly the retail people can just put anything on any price, Truly, I don't want to bore you with this stuff, but I went in and bought a pint of milk the other day. 2 days prior to that, it was 85p. It's now 105, the same thing. I believe these people, these bosses, are simply taking advantage of the fact that people are cutting back and putting it on the things that they truly know that you need. Like milk, sugar, butter, eggs, bread, that sort of stuff. Things that you genuinely need to survive. You know what it's like. Oh, don't get me going on the cost of living crisis. Back as ever though to your breaking ball story of the day. What's interesting here is we remember that report that Catherine and William really wanted to escape the clutches of Kensington Palace and go into the country as their children become more school age. And you can understand that really. We saw how cheeky Louis was, and of course the brilliant Princess Charlotte at the Platinum Jubilee celebration. And on top of that, of course, Prince George is becoming the very young man, isn't he, now looking splendid at Wimbledon recently. But there's a bigger reason, according to a very good source, why William and Catherine really want to move closer to Her Majesty. It's a twofold thing really, because William obviously needs to get in as much training and advice as he can from the longest reigning monarch of 70 years, as one can imagine. This lady has seen it, done it all, and will know exactly how to handle most situations, as we've seen, whether it be crises in a family or indeed leading the nation after the terrible COVID pandemic. That speech to me was simply phenomenal. It really was rousing, and just everything about it was spot on. A lot of people felt great comfort from it, let me tell you. I did in particular, because it was like, if the Queen says it's okay, we're going to be all right. Of course, everybody gives condolences to those that we have lost during that terrible time. But Prince William and Catherine really are getting a little bit fed up out at their place in Norfolk, Amner Hall. You may have heard about a recent video circulating that someone tried to sell to the tabloid newspapers, which was taken by a non-official photographer, videographer of a quiet weekend bike ride with Catherine and William and their 3 children in the grounds. Now, obviously he got rather annoyed because you don't film children. Doesn't matter whether they're royal or not, you just don't do it. But he did. And then, of course, he just tried to back off by saying, well, he wasn't going to do anything with it. Clearly he did. A national newspaper over here managed to get hold of a copy, and it escalated. According to that good source, William and Catherine now feel, well, this is probably the right time to move away, because obviously, they can't stop people going across what they're doing, particularly in open spaces. But in the grounds of Windsor Castle, where there's so much room, it will be a more carefree, adventurous and safer and more private lifestyle for the royal 3 children. Now, I'm not saying this in a sarcastic way, but truly, if you see some of these photographers who hound people, whether they're celebrities or royal, they can be really pushy. And you can understand why, when you think about William and Catherine, they give so much of their time to the public that when they do get these snapshot moments for themselves, they simply don't want to be ruined, and more importantly, exploited for cost. So that's the second reason why William and Catherine, along with their 3 children, are planning to move even closer to our wonderful monarch. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.